Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
Welcome back into Fond du Lac today on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ. It's now time for another edition of Behind the Badge. Officer Clapper is back in studio, as well as Lieutenant Williams. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to catch up with you, Lieutenant. How's it going?
Good. I've been super busy. I'm glad that Officer Clapper has been picking up my slack as I've been gone, but it's good to be back as well.
And Officer Clapper, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we don't got to make fun of him this week at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it's like, where's Lieutenant Williams? Oh, he's on vacation. Where's Lieutenant Williams? I guess the second week you're actually doing something more important. You had a meeting or something you had to be a part of.
Yeah, probably. Let's just go with that. Yeah, it was something really important.
Something really important. Awesome. We'll just jump right into today's show. Most important stuff. Both of you guys have been on vacations recently. Where'd you go? Little show and tell project time.
So I kind of had a multifaceted vacation where we did multiple things, but we are debating, my family, on whether or not to get out of camping. So we have a big hard-sided camper and we go about 7 to 9 times a year. And with that debate, because we want to buy a boat instead. We figure we're going to do more boating than camping. And one of our favorite places.
Just remember, if you get a boat, we're friends.
Oh, yes. But we wanted to make sure we hit all of our favorite campsites before, if this is going to be our last year. So we found some availability at Evergreen and Wild Rose, one of our favorite campsites. So we did that. That was the majority of my time off.
Gotcha. How many kiddos do you have?
Two kids.
Kiddos.
And they're getting that kind of old enough where if we're going to do those things, we got to bring friends along. Otherwise, they get bored. And we did bring friends along. And that's fine, too. But so, yeah, it's kind of a weird time. I don't want to give up camping. My wife wants to. And I want to hang on. And I think I got her convinced to go one more year. So we're going to go one more year maybe and just maybe not do as many trips.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Officer Clapper, Florida, right?
Florida, yeah. It was awesome weather. Got to have a little extravaganza of going around to all the major league ballparks. So knocked off another one in Tampa Bay and down to 4. So 26 to go, But
how was the attendance there in Tampa Bay? Because I saw your pictures. It didn't look like there was a lot of people there.
No, it was.
They playing the Red Sox when you were
there?
They were
playing the Angels.
Angels, okay.
Which is not a very good team this year. So there was not that many people there. I don't know exactly how many, but I would say probably 15 to 20,000.
They didn't do it to guess the attendance.
No, it's not as fun. It's not as fun as Brewer games at AmFam Field. There was a lot less people, but it's still good to get down there.
Awesome. Let's jump right into today's topic now. Lieutenant Williams, I know you've been doing some training recently, and that's what brought up today's topic.
Yeah, so, of my many responsibilities, I've kind of absorbed Officer Foster is now Lieutenant Foster. Used to do a lot of citizen response, the active shooter presentations, which he, myself, and a couple other officers are certified in. We go to businesses and stuff and do these presentations. Now with kind of our limited staffing right now, we've had to cut that back on that, but we squeeze them in here and there. And I just this last week did one for the AdvoCap in the city of Fond du Lac here, and it was kind of awesome. I thought what a great topic to review on, and just kind of how you respond in these events. And we talked about like the different mind frames people have. A lot of people, and I'm glad that they feel this way. They're in the mindset of, I hope this doesn't happen, right? And the law enforcement, we're at a different perspective where it's when is this going to happen? It's not if, but it's when is this going to happen. So it's a different preparation mindset, and we kind of wish the citizens would kind of see things a little bit. If they prepare like it's going to happen, then they'll be ready for it if it does. And otherwise, if you just think it's never going to happen, you'll never be prepared. So there's a couple of things you can do in that aspect for preparation. And for one, a trainer that I had that I respect always said this. He says, the body can't go where the mind hasn't been already. And basically what that means is mentally, and anytime you enter a room or a place, think about, how would I get out of this place if things went bad? Like, how many exits? We train ourselves every time we walk into a room of knowing where one exit is, right? It's the one we just entered in, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people will, when there's a stressful event or something happen, they will go to that entrance regardless of what, because that's the only one they've trained themselves to do. Where if we go into a room and train ourselves and say, hey, there's also a window in this room, as I'm sitting in a room that's got a window and a door. And maybe if something happened, we're by that door, I would now have programmed my brain that, oh wait, there's another option. So it's kind of little things like that. Ever since 1999, Columbine happened. Police have changed their response to active shooter, and we have continuously changed. Now there are setbacks like the Uvalde shooting where it doesn't seem like everything might have been handled the right way there. I always try not to comment too much on stuff I don't know everything about. But we have evolved a long way, and in most part, you've seen active shooting events across the United States where you've seen police running towards the sounds of gunfire and solving it. You've seen it in countless different other instances. And we know this. We know that the faster police get there, the faster the incident is solved or over. Our response time is about 3 minutes on average, which is pretty good considering it could happen anywhere and it's a surprise. And we know the faster that time is, the faster it's going to be over. We also, since Columbine, I know most people are familiar with Run, Hide, Fight because there was a movie on it with that title and stuff like that. But we practice alert principle, which is the same thing. It's avoid, deny, defend. Those are just a way to remember what you should do in all active shooter scenarios. So avoid or run is number one. And the reason it is if you are an innocent civilian or a hostage, we want you out of the equation. And if we get you out of the equation, it opens up a whole larger world of tactics for us. We have something that we operate on called the safety priorities or life priority scale, and hostages and civilians are number one on that list. Number two are us, officers, so we get the number 2 spot. And then number 3 are the suspects. And the reason why they're number 3 is that they created the situation. So they have to be number 3 on that priority scale, but they're still on the scale. So we still value their life as well, and we want to take them into custody. But through the nature of active shooter events, a lot of times that's not the case because they have the mindset that they're gonna continue until they are killed or kill themselves. So knowing that, if you go back and you avoid the situation, you are taking what I call number ones out of the equation. And that changes things for us. So if this building, there was an active shooter in this and there are no hostages or innocent civilians in it, it opens up a lot more options for us where we don't have to send officers in. If we know that for a fact, we won't send officers in to get a number 3 because you're sacrificing a number 2 for a number 3, right? We can sit outside this, and that's where all our awesome tools that the city of Fond du Lac has afforded us come in handy. We have armored cars, we have robots, we've got drones, we have you can use gas and chemical agents, get someone out. So a lot more things become available when we get the number ones out. So number 1 is avoid. Number 2 is deny or that they say hide. I actually like deny better, which is basically barricading barricading in your spot. So something happens right outside your door or whatever, whether it be in a workplace or whatever, and you cannot get out. You have one exit or whatever, then what you need to do is barricade that door so that person cannot get in. What that will do is, remember, we have that response time, which is initiated as soon as someone calls 911. If you can deny them, these people are usually on the mindset where they want a large body count. They want a headline. They want to be notorious for something. So if you don't buy them that time, it's going to be a waste of their time where they could be, assaulting other people or whatever. So if you deny them long enough, they're going to give up on trying to gain access. You could also deny them long enough so that you could find another exit point. So when you do this scale, you can always go back to avoid. You don't stay on deny and say, okay, I'm just going to sit here. No, always look for that way out because avoid is always the best. You always want to get out of that situation if you can. But then the second one is that denial. And there's a lot of different creative ways you can do that. It would take a pretty simple YouTube search to find ways to barricade rooms and doors and all these things. It's just something to think about in your workplace as you go to work. And I know we don't think about these things, but if you just give yourself 5 minutes and say, okay, what would I do right now if there was an active shooter event? And as we analyze these things, we find out that most of them actually happen in workplaces. You think education because the media will cover that a little bit more, but most of the time it's commerce. It's some sort of workplace environment that these occur in. And then the last thing is defend. And during my presentation, I talk. I actually stole this from Lieutenant Foster, but I start with a slide of my family, and we call it our why. Like, you have to have a why or a reason that you are not going to let this person win this battle today. A reason that you live. It could be your family, it could be a hobby, it could be friends, it could be whatever. But you got to be passionate enough. If someone is going to take that from you, that you are going to give them the fight of your life and not let them take that. So that's where we come with that defend. So we try to barricade that person's getting through the door or whatever. We are going to give that person the fight of our life, and they are not going to take that from us. And you have to hold that why in your head as you do that, and with everything you have, and I don't care your age or whatever, you have to totally defend yourself and stop that person from doing that. And whether it's chairs, soup cans, tools, hammers, I mean, I've seen it all. I worked in the schools and all that. People are very creative, but just have a plan. And you know what? Hopefully you'll never use that plan, but at least you have programmed your brain that if the worst possible thing happens, that you have a plan. And it's better than sitting there and trying to guess on the spot. But you're like, okay, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. And you have programmed your brain that you have a response for that. And those seconds that you just bought yourself by having that thought process could save your life. And it could save other people's lives too. So, yeah, so it's a longer presentation than that, but that is kind of the gist of it. And I know I'm kind of just ranting on and on, but that's the core concept of it. Is we want everyone to be as safe as possible. It's horrible that we live in a time where this has to be a regular conversation, but until society changes or the trends change, this is the normal thing. I mean, every other day you basically can see an active shooter event, to the point where the ones where it's only a couple of people, like if there's only like 3 that get murdered, sometimes it doesn't even make the news anymore, which is it's a horrible. So until we make steps, whatever those be, to stop this, we have to prepare for it like it's going to happen and hopefully never have to use it.
Appreciate the insights there from you, Lieutenant Williams. When you talk about the presentation you gave, who are you typically giving these presentations to?
So we'll do like business settings. Luckily, well, like I said, Lieutenant Foster did a majority of them. We actually have an SRO, Sandra O'Donnell, that's also able to give them. We did one out at We Energy, which was really cool. We actually did scenarios. So we acted like an active shooter event, and people, even though we already gave the lecture, did exactly against the lecture when they were in the scenario. And it was very, very kind of eye-opening for them. Now, right now, we're not in a place in the police department where we can probably do that as often as we'd like to, but once we get a couple new hires, which we'll be advertising here shortly probably, we'll be able to staff that position and hopefully fulfill that need that the community has for this training.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you stopping by this morning. And not to say that it's going to happen, but you always want to have that plan if it does happen.
Yeah, definitely. And law enforcement, we're always like, it's not if, but when.
And we've seen more and more shootings taking place in Fond du Lac, so who knows what could happen.
Right, exactly. Just be prepared out there.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you stopping by. Anything else you want to hit on before I let you get out of here?
No, I took all Officer Clapper's time away, so no, we're good to go. We will, like I said, we're going to have some new officers coming out of the academy in October, so we'll bring them out here and we'll get to meet them.
Awesome, sounds good. We'll chat next week. This has been Behind the Badge on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ.